This is Mike Fish, broker owner of Minnesota Real Estate and Management, and today we are going to do a lake profile on Platte and Sullivan Lake. So we've been doing these one-on-one and privately for a long time. It was suggested that I should put them on the website as a resource, and I think it's a good idea. So I happen to live right by Platte Lake. And I will tell you that that's where my boys tend to fish. We ice fish. We're regularly on the lake. And when I moved down here several years ago, I was kind of amazed at it, quite frankly, it being kind of a hidden gem. Uh, so Lake and Sullivan are actually, I believe, number 13 and 14 on the lakes around here. When you look at the top lakes, price wise, moving down over the last few years, but they are just great lakes. So when we do these lake profiles, what we want to do is answer questions for folks that may be looking to buy on the lake and not familiar with them. So one thing about Sullivan and Platte is it's 90 minutes from the metro area, so it's just a straight shot up 169, which is obviously very convenient. When it comes to the lakes, when we do lake profiles, we're looking at obviously the lake size, the depth, the water quality, the clarity of it, as far as like what people do on the lake, as far as recreation, are there restrictions on the lake? We like to talk about the shoreline. What kind of shoreline can you expect around the lake? Really, as far as the flavor of the lake, as far as is it a busy, crazy lake with a bunch of partiers, or is it more of a quiet lake, right? Is there anything to do on the lake? Of course, the fishing quality, the fish that are caught in the lake, as well as local amenities. Are there restaurants to go to on the lake? Things like that are kind of the main questions that people who aren't familiar with the lake want to answer before maybe they take the time to drive up and look at a lake home. So again, today we're doing Platte and Sullivan. We're doing them together because they're connected. They make up almost 2,700 acres, and together they make up a pretty good sized lake. So I will, yeah. So let's get to it. All right. So today again we're talking about Platte and Sullivan. So here's the big picture, right? Brainerd's right there. 169 is coming up right there from the cities. And here's Platte and Sullivan. I live right over there, by the way. So I like these lakes for several reasons. So let's start with Platte and then kind of move on to Sullivan. Sullivan's maybe a little bit higher end, known maybe a little bit better fishing. Basically because Platte, it's a great lake. It is a little bit more of a shallow lake. So Platte is right around 1750 is the acres. So it's a good sized lake. The depth though is 23 feet at its at its deepest point. So it's a little bit more of a shallow lake, and it does tend to have some vegetation. I'll put the links for the DNR on it. You're still catching northern pike on it. Largemouth bass, walleye, crappies. You're catching your sunfish, and between the two lakes there is a bridge here, and it is a pretty good sized bridge. I'd have to double check to see, but I can't imagine many boats that aren't going to go under that bridge. But if you're going to buy on either lake, that would be certainly something to consider. The invasive vegetation, there's that curly leaf pondweed, but there's a good association on the lake that I think does a great job of taking care of things. As far as price over the last few years on the lake, for a lot, you're looking at kind of anywhere from probably around 75 to 175. For a cabin or a lake home, looking right around probably 410. There are 9 properties that have sold on the lake in the last 3 years. And it's just a great, small recreational lake for fishing, boating. Again, overall on a scale of 1 to 10, fairly quiet lake. Sullivan has a little bit more action on it. A nice summer day. Again, you've got the bridge. You can go under the bridge. Usually, people fishing off that bridge. Sometimes they're my kids. So there's usually somebody fishing off that bridge. It's a nice area. And so going down to Sullivan, and I think it's appropriate to put them together. Sullivan's a little bit smaller, but not much, 1,200 acres, but a 57-foot depth. So really twice as deep is Sullivan, and the lakes, I think, complement each other very well. And of course, you got walleye and crappie and bluegill and bass and pike, and different sunfish in this lake too. Again, we'll put the links for the DNR information underneath too. Uh, the walleye, uh, great walleye fishing. The real estate there, you're looking at for a lot. You're probably looking at closer, to the around the 200K for a lot there. The real estate also a little bit more, around 450, 450 to 500. There's been 11 sold in the last 3 years, but it's known as a strong fishing lake. Places to swim on it, recreational areas, and so it's definitely a great lake. Both these lakes are great lakes to consider. I've got a detailed video about the top 20 lakes in the area, and Platte and Sullivan come in. I think I want to say it's 14 and 15. Platte and Sullivan come in. They're great lakes as people are getting pushed off these bigger lakes. They're getting pushed onto the smaller lakes. And I'll put some resources down below for you. But that is kind of my overall on these two lakes. Reach out anytime if you have questions. Thank you.